Hey, what's good? What's good, y'all? What's good? The Thawahgabar for Black Authentic Truth. Turn this music off. Hey, what's good with y'all, man? I'm back. I'm back for another live. This one is a little late. Usually I go a little earlier, but as y'all know, I was already saying I was going to take a break. You know, it ain't, when it comes to live videos, it's a lot that goes into a live video that you don't want to go wrong. So most people don't like to do live videos. Most content creators don't deal with it, because there's so much stuff that could go wrong. But you know, there was some things I want to talk about, some current events I want to get into. Um, yeah, some stuff that always it seems it's a never-ending story. Like with the title, I'm gonna talk about those twins, those brothers, which is crazy, but it's a never-ending story when it comes to things like that, where we cannot get any answers, right? So yeah, I'm gonna do that. We're gonna get into that. I got a few other stories I wanna go through. Um, it was a weather system that came through California in like the last week or so, but these last 2 days have been excellent. They've been perfect. It was a beautiful day. It's about to be 5 o'clock in the evening, but it was a beautiful day today in Southern California. And like I always ask, how was your Sunday? How everybody rocking? What you doing? How's it going? You know what I mean? How's it going? Yeah, so we definitely going to get into it. So let me check the comments. All right, see a few people in here. No sweat. Y'all can just chime in, you know, wherever you at. How was your day? But I'm gonna hop into it. This first video I want to get into is something that, you know, we all we know this conversation. This conversation is not something that's specific to Black people, but it is something that is a conversation just like the 50-50 conversation. What do you bring to the table, right? So I'm gonna get into that. I'm gonna pull this video. Give me 1 second. It's about stepfathers, right?
Took my mom with 3 kids.
So what do you call him? Was he?
Is he a simp?
I wouldn't call him a simp, but my mom called him a simp.
Damn.
My mom definitely called him a simp. But
Oh my God.
Let me start that over because I don't think it played from the beginning.
my stepfather took my mom with 3 kids.
So what do you call him? Was he?
Is he a simp?
I wouldn't call him a simp, but my mom called him a simp.
Damn.
My mom definitely called him a simp. But
oh my God.
honestly, God,
Y'all hear that?
yeah, my mom did call him a
all that
simp.
for that woman.
Okay.
Took care of his 3 kids, and she called him a simp.
My mom told me straight up, she told me, yo, don't ever date a woman with kids.
My mom told me the same thing.
Don't ever.
And
Yeah, y'all heard the video. What y'all think about that? Before I chime in, what do y'all think about what just was said in that video about his mother calling his stepfather that came in and she already had 3 kids? His mother called him a simp and then told him to never date a woman with kids. What do y'all think about that? Because there's a lot of broken families in the Black community. We ain't going to front. We're not going to act like it ain't a lot of broken families in the Black community and that everything is pearly white and perfect in our community. It is not. You know what I mean? I'm going to give my opinion and what I think and what I would, tell my sons. But what's your thoughts on that? Should a man, that's not the question posed, but should a man come into a situation, and I know a lot of people are split on this. Many people are split on this. And I would give my opinion, it's not going to be something that people like. The sister said, she said he didn't value or respect him for what he did. I agree with that. Stepfathers get a bad rap. Like nobody, it seems like stepfathers don't get the appreciation that they deserve. A stepfather is a man that has a lot of love. If a man is willing to disregard the idea of having his own children that look like him to be with a woman that already has kids and develop and make a family with that woman, that is a loving person. That is a selfless person. That is a person, I believe, that needs to be acknowledged, needs to be respected, as the sister said, and deserves, some honor and some praises. I mean, it's not easy being that person. And there's a lot of brothers that are stepfathers. I had a stepfather at one point in time. I mean, we know that our families are not perfect in the Black community. We know this. And there's a lot of, men that are with women that have children from previous relationships, but they don't get the just due. And I just thought it was real. Like the sister said, she didn't value that man or respect him. That's terrible. Now, in every situation, is it terrible for a stepfather? I don't think so. I think a lot of women value that man that came into their lives. You know what I mean? The one thing I don't like is when a stepfather, it be the woman or the stepfather, that now that he's here and he's doing his thing and he's doing the best he can to take care of the family, they put down the father that is not in the children's life. Like that, to me, that's lame. Like, why you have to do that? Actions speak louder than words. Like, you don't have to say, well, I'm the man that stepped up. I'm the father. I'm the man that did this. I did this. You know what I mean? That's not needed. You know what I mean? But what is needed is a woman, the mother, respecting and honoring you for the man and the selfless act that you came in and did. You know what I mean? Because you don't have to do that. And like I said, stepfathers get a bad rap. Now, my opinion, this is my opinion. This is how I feel. I wouldn't want to be a stepfather because I want to see kids. And when I walk in that house, I want to see kids that look like me. I want to see mini me's. And from a what's the word? From a heritage standpoint, that's what I want. Like coming from a biblical standpoint. Am I saying there's something wrong with a stepfather? Oh, no, I'm not saying that. Those brothers they doing their damn thing, and they deserve the honor and respect that's just to them, but as far as I see it, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? And it's okay. But what I will do is be a mentor, be a positive influence to some young brother or some young sister that doesn't have a father. I definitely can do that. I definitely can reel them in and put them up under my arm and teach them and show them things. You know what I mean? That's what you're supposed to do as a man, as a Black man, especially in our community. If you are solid, if you are, what's the word? If you are, taking care of business and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and you're positive and, you just are all around guy, it's nothing wrong with being that example for children who don't have no man in that house to look at, to learn from. You know what I mean? So that's something that I feel that as Black men, we should take up that mantle and just be that father figure. You know what I mean? Instead of being the father figure that's selling drugs, that's hurting people, pimping women, destroying your community, be that father figure that a person can look up, that a person that doesn't have not a person, but a child that doesn't have a father in the home can look at this brother and say, I want to be like him. Like if I could have a father, I would want my father to be like that. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember men like that growing up. And I also remember men on the other end of the stick growing up in the community that, I seen the different sides of it. But as far as a stepfather, man, stepfathers are amazing. They're great. They're selfless. They're doing something that a lot of people can't do, And so just because of that, they deserve respect. Now, when you talk about relationships, right? You talk about like getting with a woman with children. You got to know what you're getting into. You know what I mean? So you don't want to get with no woman. And that's another dynamic. Another dynamic I forgot to say is that, when it comes to disciplining children, some women say, don't say nothing to my kids, but their kids is bad as hell. Like, you got to really weigh that out. You can't look at her beauty and her booty and just be like, I want to get with you and I want to take care of all of y'all. Then the little things start happening, like, don't tell my son nothing. And the son walking around not doing nothing, not taking out the trash, not doing nothing he's supposed to be doing, but you can't say nothing as a man. Like, that's a problem. So that all starts in the beginning. Like, you gotta, what they say, vet people. You got to take your time with this woman. You might want to know, dang, because children are involved. What was the whole reason for you, getting divorced or you breaking up with this person for? What am I missing? Because you're beautiful. You know what I mean? I'm willing to be with you and you got kids, but you should ask those type of questions before you hop into a situation like that as a stepfather. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to take it all in and take care of everyone. But that's also applies to just people that are single. That applies to everyone, really. It don't just apply to a stepfather, but that's just my opinion on it. But the fact that the mom called this brother a simp, was telling the son he was a simp, that's cold-blooded. That's cold-blooded. This brother comes in and takes care of 3 children. She already got 3 children, and the mother is saying, yeah, he's a simp. That's crazy work, and it's unimaginable. The sacrifice that he done put out like that, and he doesn't even know that she looks at him like that. Like, you are just, you are a piece of a man to me. You're nothing to me. That would be devastating to hear even now. Like, I don't know if they still together, but he said, my mom used to call my stepfather a simp and told me I shouldn't never date a woman with kids, which I don't agree with, because there are brothers that have that capacity. It's brothers that have that selflessness. They have that love in them to not just get with a woman that has kids, but produce more kids and have a bigger family. So I don't agree with that. But I wouldn't want to be a stepfather simply because I want to have all my kids look like me. I want my lineage to be me. Can I be? Of course I can be that. Of course I can be there. Every man has it in them, you know, but that's just my preference. Nothing wrong with that. That's just my preference. But all in all, stepfathers are excellent. They deserve respect and they deserve honor. All right. I'm going to drop that video. We're going to get to the next one. All right. Hey, shout out to everybody rocking. If you could, please like the video, share it. You know, I mean, as easy as it is to swipe on your phone and come up on my video, you can hit that share button and that like button, right? Now, this is about this pastor.
Public is scared of.
A Memphis woman accused of killing Pastor Ricky Floyd denied a reduced bond during her bail hearing this morning. Memphis police say 42-year-old Samantha Marion shot Floyd after an argument at a bar. She's currently being held on a $100,000 bond. Her attorneys claim this was a case of self-defense, but WREG's Kwamitra Wilburn explains why prosecutors disagree.
There are also serious public safety concerns. And I find that the $100,000 bond is reasonable in this situation.
During her bail hearing Friday morning, Judge John Marshall decided to keep Samantha Marion's bond at $100,000. Marion is facing a voluntary manslaughter charge after allegedly shooting and killing Pastor Ricky Floyd. According to the affidavit, the two had gotten into an argument inside a South Memphis bar that spilled outside.
That's a public safety concern. That is exactly what we're trying to have people not do.
Marion's attorney confirms she had never met Floyd before this incident. Judge Marshall says the court finds that unless it is self-defense, anytime a gun is pulled and shot, it is an act of violence that puts the community at risk.
This is another act of gun violence in our city.
Prosecutors argued Marion's bond should not be lowered due to public safety, and they believe the likelihood of conviction is good. She says the surveillance video details what happened.
Go home. It's 117. Go to your children. But no, she gets a gun, conceals it behind her back, gets out of her car, and starts approaching Mr. Floyd, telling him not to approach her.
What the state failed to mention was that she was followed into the parking lot, that her phone was taken from her hand and thrown from her. She was verbally assaulted inside and outside of the bar.
Marion's attorneys, John Keith Perry and Kevin Macy, say Marion is a mother of four who has never had any run-ins with the law. Perry says they believe this is a classic case of self-defense.
This was a person she had never met before. The information about her following him with some video is totally inaccurate.
Reporting for your news leader, Kwamitra Wilburn, WREG News, Channel 3.
A case we'll be watching closely.
Now, it don't seem like there's all the facts there, right? And initially, it was sounding like one of those things that we all know, that the pastor is sneaking out at night. He's at the club, at the bar, very late at night, in the middle of the night, and this is his mistress. That's what the story is. But watching this, it doesn't look like that's what it was. But as somebody who is supposed to be a leader, right? Why are you getting into it with a woman at a bar? You know what I'm saying? Like, and what we can tell from both sides is that it started in the bar and then it ended out in the parking lot. Somehow he grabbed her phone and threw it. And then I think after that, she popped him, you know, and they saying she ain't never been in trouble before. She's never met the man, this pastor, before. And I never knew who this pastor was, never had heard of him, didn't know who he was, right? But listen, man, if you're supposed to be a man of God, well, obviously the Lord wasn't with you on that night, you know what I mean? And you made some bad decisions. You didn't de-escalate. That's like a leader. And I'm not just talking about a pastor, but somebody that's the leader of an organization, somebody that's the leader of, you know, people. That person definitely needs to know how to exercise some restraint and de-escalate a situation or a problem or an issue. That's what I see. You know what I mean? And of course, coming from where I'm coming from as a Hebrew Israelite, like, come on, man. Like, the Lord just wasn't with you. The Lord wasn't with that pastor. And this one, it could be more details that come out. We don't know. But from what I've seen, it's like it was his fault. That's just my opinion from what I've heard. It was his fault. You know what I mean? Because it could have been de-escalated. It could have been talked down, and everybody, both sides could have walked away and went home. So yeah, but what we see right here is you know, they definitely feel like they have a case that she is going to be prosecuted, right? So that's that video. Now let me get to this one that really, really is disgusting.
About something she wanted to say.
If I could, let me, where is this one? Do we have that video? Give me 1 second. Pull this up real quick. Add this. Like StreamYard done came out with
my mom with
this new way of working it. It's a little different. So I'm just trying to get acclimated to, you know, how it works now. Remove that. Okay. Pull this video up. Now, I know a lot of y'all probably seen this video of this brother cutting homeless people's tents. It's crazy.
It's people's ain't no tent, bro. It's people's ain't no tent while you doing that. It's people's ain't no tent.
Now he's cutting tents while people are in their tent. Homeless people are in their tents. This is in Atlanta, and he's cutting their tents while they're in there sleeping. This brother is a security guard for some company that works in the area. All right.
How you did that? How they killed Kaniz out here? He's slicing and cutting. He's slicing and cutting. He's slicing and cutting folks' tents, bro.
Nah, bro. Thank you.
He's slicing and cutting people's tents up.
Get the tents out of the street. I'm out your hair. It's a done deal. Simple.
You work for the city of Atlanta?
Like
No, I
he
don't
got
work for the
death
city of
on
Atlanta.
him.
He don't work for the city of Atlanta. He's a citizen. He's just like us, but he's inside of the house. We outside, so he's doing this like just personally doing it.
I done gave y'all a gang of opportunities.
But who?
Provided y'all resources.
What?
Y'all still in the middle of the street. Get out the middle of the street. Homes, if you want to keep your tents.
All right. You seen that video where he's slicing the tents, telling them to get out the street. From my understanding, this is the area where homeless are, and this is also an area where you have people that donate to the homeless. So 8 of those tents were donated, you know, to those homeless people, and all 8 of those tents were destroyed. And he's got a knife and he's just slicing the tents, and he has his weapon on him. So these people that standing around, they're video recording, but they're scared also. These are homeless people. These are people who are up in age. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, it's disgusting to see. Now, the public was angry and was like, they need to find him. So they found him. And so I'm gonna play that video where he's being arraigned.
How you doing, Judge?
Let me just let me see where I want, about 340.
Are in the process of building an apartment in the location, and so they hired third-party security company Divine Authority Agency to secure the construction site after hours. Officers then made contact with multiple homeless victims who all reported that a security guard by the name of Da Vinci, later identified as the defendant, had routinely been harassing them, threatening them, and intentionally damaging their belongings for the past 2 weeks. A victim by the name of Shanika Dansby showed officers 3 separate videos of the most recent incident from the 6th. In one of them, you can clearly see the defendant yelling and using a blade to cut through multiple tents occupied by the individuals who were there. In another video, you can see the defendant with what appears to be a long gun on his side. It should be noted that the victim stated that he didn't point the gun at anyone at that time. He just had it on his person. A victim by the name of Letitia Morris expressed that she was afraid because she was afraid that the blade would cut her or someone else because she was actually inside of the tent while the defendant was using that blade to cut into those tents. Victims Roy McLeod and Anthony Atwater reported that 2 weeks prior, an unknown person had shot multiple rounds towards the area where the tents were located, with some of those rounds actually putting holes in the sides of the tent. The shots did come from the direction of the construction site, and the parties believe that it was the defendant who shot the gun because he had repeatedly yelled at them that he had a gun and he wasn't afraid to use it. In one of the videos showed to officers, you can hear the defendant saying a similar phrase that, he has a gun and he's not afraid to use that weapon. The victim stated that they didn't call 911 at the time because they were, of course, afraid, and they also didn't think the police would be able to do anything to help. A woman by the name of Angela Pitts donated 8 of those tents to the individuals.
This is the thing, man. That was disgusting. That was hateful. And when it comes to Black people, this applies to everyone, but I'm talking to Black people. Like, we have lost our compassion and our sense of understanding for other Black people. Now, he's working in some third-party security service that built an apartment complex somewhere in the area, and he's terrorizing. He said for 2 weeks, he was terrorizing these people, these homeless people. These are homeless people. They don't have anything. You get to, like the brother said in the video, you cutting these tents, but you got a home to go back to. We out here in the streets. And this is not just this situation. You see this all the time with Black people where we are so arrogant and ignorant and are hate for one another that we can't see ourselves being in that situation. He works for a third-party security service. He's only one fucking paycheck away from being on the streets. Excuse my language. He's only one paycheck, 1 or 2 paychecks from being in the same position as them, and he can't even see it, Don't even give a damn. These people are our enemy because they're poor. Because they're poor? That's where Black people come from, poverty. Like, how can you not have compassion on your own people? How come you think you're so high and mighty that you can't be put in that same situation? We all work. We all go to, work for some corporation or some company, and that company can fall overnight and you won't have anything to go to. Your degrees on the wall won't mean anything. Your badge won't mean anything as a security guard, top flight security, cutting up people's tents, top flight, of the world. It won't mean anything. Your status as whatever you do in America, World War III is right around the corner. It don't matter what you do. Your money the money in your bank account won't even be accessible if a war pops out. The point I'm making is that we should understand, like, we could be in that same situation. We should have compassion. We should have more understanding. You know what I'm saying? We should have that for each other. You know what I mean? But this right here is a disgusting example how a lot of Black people think and feel about other Black people in situations like homelessness that are less. They look at them as though they're lesser than a human being. And where do we get that from? You get that from your oppressor. That's where you get it from. That's where we get it from. We get it from the people who oppressed us and still oppress us. And now we have that same outlook. Say, these niggas need to get a job. Why you all on the streets? Nigga, you need to I ain't got no change. Nigga, get a job. That's how Black people treat other Black people that are disadvantaged. You know what I'm saying? No sweat, no problem. Maybe one day you might find yourself in that same situation. Let me just get to the judge real quick what she said.
Atwater and Angela Pitts. He is to stay away from all property where the Sovereign Cooper Construction Company operates. He's to not possess any weapons, no firearms. If he owns or possesses any firearms, they have to be surrendered to the authorities for destruction. He's not allowed to have them on his person, on his, in any vehicle he occupies, anywhere near him, or even in his residence. He does have that open 22 SC case, and yes, the DA's office did file a motion to revoke his bond, so that is pending right now. His next court date is going to be March 25th, and of course he needs to stay 500 yards away from the property known as Old Wheat Street and Fort Street. So he cannot be anywhere near that intersection, 500 yards away.
Judge. That's good. That's good. He don't need to be nowhere near those homeless people. He gonna mess around and hurt one of those homeless people. Somebody like, what else? The other thing in here that I didn't go over, it was also brought out that he is on a bond right now for stalking his ex-girlfriend. He's on a bond right now for stock. So this brother is just a, some of our people are just weirdos. This brother is a weirdo. You know what I mean? He's on bond for stalking. He has a case right now on top of this new case that he has gotten. So that situation easily could have turned into him actually hurting one of those homeless people or unaliving these people. And they're not bothering anybody, but just existing. That's it. They're just existing. Sister said, with him being a security guard, he should have been looking out for those brothers and sisters living in those streets. Right. He's supposed to be, that's what he's supposed to be doing. But see, when it comes to security guards, especially with black people, black and brown people, what you end up doing is acting like you're the police, not just the police. You act like some racist. You are racist against your own people when you got a badge, a pair of tactical boots, and a firearm. You think that you are a superhero, or you somebody that a neighborhood watch all in one. A judge, jury, and executioner all in one. That is the spirit that you put on when you're securitizing something, a parking lot, a building, a construction site like him. You know what I mean? What does it have to do with the construction site? You're supposed to be making sure nobody breaks into the construction site. Now that you slicing up homeless people's tents, while you're doing all of that and getting into it with them, like a bitch, somebody else is breaking into that construction site, stealing some wood and some copper. For whatever reason, you're supposed to be securitizing it. You're worried about the wrong thing. If you really was a righteous person as a security guard, you'd just be looking out for the brothers and sisters. You'll be showing a little kindness, a little compassion, maybe slide through and, drop off some sandwiches or something like that on your way to do your shift or something like that. Not look at them and detest and disdain and say, these niggas these niggas, I told them to get out the street. They need to get out the street. You know what? I'm finna go slice their tents up. Then y'all heard in there also, it said that on one occasion, somebody fired from the construction site and some of the bullets went through the tents. And those people believe it was a security guard. So he totally terrorizing some homeless people. Think about that. He's terrorizing homeless people. You know what I mean? That's crazy, y'all. It's crazy, man. And that it's good that he's getting arraigned. It's good that he's being brought up on charges for that. Listen, man, he got what he deserved. We should not be treating our people in that way. Going back to what I said earlier, you're only one paycheck away from being like them. And sometimes maybe that has to happen to people for them to get the message that maybe they should be a little more humble. Maybe they should be a little more thankful. And more importantly, maybe they should be a little more compassionate to their own people. Now I'm about to hit this last video, right? Now this video is these brothers, these twin brothers that, you know, mysteriously, they calling it a mystery. These twin brothers, you know, was supposed to be going to Boston, catching a flight. Well, they found them less than 24 hours later, unalive on a trail 90 miles away, on a mountain 90 miles away. And it just yells that this is a homicide. This is something that is not, you know, self-inflicted like they always like to say. These are two, you know, good brothers, now grown young men that, you know, their family is saying they would never do it. But let me play the video, all right?
The bodies of twin brothers found in Towns County near the North Carolina line, 90 miles from their home in Lawrenceville. The GBI initially investigating this as a murder-suicide, but tonight the family says they're not buying it. 11 Alive's Cody Alcorn spoke with them just a few.
Listen, they said they investigating it as a murder-suicide, but the family is not buying it. Well, I'm not buying it either. Black people are not buying it either. We need to stop, you know, taking whatever they say. And sometimes you got to go with what you feel and you know. When things don't make no sense, they don't make any sense. But we have to take the word of a people that hate us, a people that really don't put resources into investigations and could care less, assume things about us. We have to put our trust in those people to tell us what actually happened, as if they would actually expose themselves or expose the people in the area for foul play. Let me just keep going.
A few hours ago, he's live for us in our newsroom with more on this investigation and what the family has to say, Cody.
Well, Jennifer, the brothers Kydir and Nazir Lewis were twins. The GBI says a hiker found their bodies at the top of Bell Mountain on Saturday morning. Both had been shot. The family couldn't believe it when they got the call hours later, knowing the twin brothers were supposed to be in Boston visiting friends.
We want answers. We want to know exactly what happened to the twins.
Nazir and Kydir Lewis.
Those my nephews.
Just a few weeks shy of their 20th birthday.
I can get past it, they're gone.
The twins' uncle, Raheem Bronner.
They're very protective of each other. They love each other. They're like inseparable. So I couldn't imagine them hurting each other because I never even seen them get into a fist fight before.
The GBI saying their preliminary investigation points to the twins' death being a murder-suicide.
We knew right away that wasn't true.
Family says the twins had a 7 a.m. flight to Boston last Friday.
Right there, we never heard from them. They missed their flight. We don't know what happened.
24 hours later, the twins' body found 90 miles away.
How they end out in the mountains, they don't hike out there. They've never even been out there. They don't know nothing about Hiwassee, Georgia. They never even heard of Bell Mountains. So how did they end up right there?
A mystery this family is trying to solve.
They had a huge support system. Like, we know them that they wouldn't do anything like this. So to say that they did this to each other when they come from a family of love, and they love each other, they always together, we don't believe that. They didn't do this to each other. Something happened in those mountains, and we want answers.
I did reach out to the GBI tonight. A spokesperson says the twins' autopsies is finished, but they're awaiting additional forensic testing to be finished, as well as the investigation portion of this, before they issue a final ruling on the brothers' causes of death.
You know, it's so tiring to know that something has foul play. I don't even have to be there. There's certain stories that you know that there's some foul play. And the minute that they find a brother at the base of a tree with a rope around his neck, Javion McGee, they say suicide. The minute they find some black man hanging, lynched in Mississippi, they say suicide. Like, these people are devils. And you got to understand that. What's really sad, though, what's really sad is to think of Black people, right? Like, you heard his mother, they would never do nothing like that. They don't even know where that place is. They never heard of that place. And it just don't make any sense. Like, Black people have become, and I'm not talking about I'm not saying that, I'm not going, antagonizing the mother or nothing like that. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, in general, our people, we are so lost when it comes to knowing who these people really are. And we don't understand, and we don't raise our children to understand who these people really are. You know what I mean? Let me go back to the, we don't like, in a Black community, we teach our children, don't let nobody play with you, right? Like, if somebody put their hands on you, you put your hands on back, you fight back. We're real inept at teaching our children those things, like don't let nobody put their hands on you. You better not come back here. You better protect yourself, defend yourself. But what we don't teach our children is we don't live in a post-racial society. A lot of Black adults in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s think in their mind that they live in a post-racial society, that they live in a place where you don't really have to deal with racism no more, like back in the days. People are not, white people ain't just going around in truckloads just killing Black people like back in the days. They're not hanging Black people like back in the days. We live in a reality because of social media that those things don't happen anymore, and that all of those things are back in the past, and we don't have to worry about that no more. Bullshit. You do need to teach your children what time it is. And I feel like if you're not teaching your child what the reality is of the history of our people with white people, the history of America, the real history, if you're not doing that, then you're doing your children a disservice. Like me as a Black man, right? When it comes to how I move in the world, I don't really think about these type of things when I'm around Black people, or when I'm around, say, brown people, or let's just say for okay, right now the big topic is illegal aliens, right? They're deporting illegal aliens, so-called, right? Because you can't be an illegal on stolen land, but they're deporting them, right? And they're saying, Donald Trump was saying they're this, they're that, they're criminals, they're that. I feel more safer around Mexicans than I would around a group of white people. I'll say it again. I feel more comfortable around Mexicans, illegals, whatever, than I feel around white people. And it's because of the history, the track record. Now, I'm just going off of the history. I'm going off of the data, the statistics. White men from the ages of 18 to like 60 are more likely to walk into a place and shoot it up. More likely to be a Chester molester, more likely. So my thing is this, like, I'm not profiling Black and brown people. I'm profiling Chad. I'm profiling Kyle. I'm profiling Tanner. I'm profiling, what is another name? Jasper. That's who I'm profiling. That's who I'm looking at, like, okay, I'm in this place and I'm the only one. Okay, my antennas is up. I'm not, I'm gonna play it off. I look like I'm not paying attention, but I'm paying attention to left, right, front, and center. That's what you have to teach your children. Yeah, you can be friendly, cordial, professional. You can do all of that, but never forget the history. Never forget. Don't ever forget. That's how you should teach your children to move in the world. These brothers seem like they were good young men. The uncle said he never even seen them get into a fist fight. You know how siblings do. You know how I got 3 girls. I know fist fight. I don't They done tussled and everything as siblings already. So you know they were good, genuine souls, these brothers, unsuspecting, not understanding, you know, what is danger, what is not a right situation to step into, or people to entertain. You know what I mean? It's a sad story. It stings because you know why? Not because it happened, but because the world we live in, we may never find out the answer of what happened to those brothers. We may never know what actually happened. Like Kendrick Johnson, like Javion McGee. And the list goes on and on. We may never know what actually happened. Because we live in a society where they protect one another. Hell, these cities, those type of towns in these southern cities, southern towns, you know what I'm saying? These municipalities, it'd be like the sheriff. Okay, recently there was just a video I seen with a brother that was transporting a monkey, and I believe he was going from like North Carolina to Florida, something like that. I can't remember exactly. He was transporting, he got pulled over by a cop, and the cop, anyway, I'm a fast forward. Anyway, the cop called another cop to pull him over. Anyway, the cop that he was dealing with that gave him a ticket, this cop was the son of the judge. This state trooper was the son of the judge. This is what black people are dealing with in those type of places. You got the son is, the state trooper is the son to the judge. The district attorney is the cousin to the judge. And it's a whole family, a whole ring, and they protect one another. And so all of a sudden, camera footage disappears, facts disappear, the coroner tells something that doesn't make any sense, and black people have to get a second and third autopsy just to get some real answers. Like Kendrick Johnson, they just buried him. The family paid to get him re-exhumed in another autopsy, and they come to find out he had bruises all over his face and his neck, blunt force trauma. These people work like that. They don't want you to actually know that black people are being lynched in 2025. They don't want you to actually realize that this type of thing is happening in 2025. They want you to think that you live in a post-racial society, meaning it's past. We're not in that place anymore. We have transcended and we have gotten better, and we don't deal with that type of racism anymore. We have to wake up, right? We have to wake up. You have to teach your children what time it is. And I'm from California, but sometimes, no disrespect, but I always look at people that live in the South and see how they're so lackadaisical, and they're like, it is what it is. And they, live a life as though racism doesn't exist. And they're from the South where it was really concentrated at. And I'd be like, I don't see how y'all are like that. When I'm in California and I'm like, nah, no, it does exist. I understand what is still going on. I don't understand y'all brothers and sisters that live out there and act as though you live in a post-racial society. You live in a society where you don't have to worry about white lynch mobs, where you live in a society where there are not sundown towns. Like, I don't understand that. I just don't understand it. If I'm in a public place, I'm not worried about no Mexican or no black person opening fire in a public place. I'm worried about a white person. That's just facts. That's honesty. I'm keeping it real. I'm keeping it black and authentic. If I'm in a mall and, if ever the conversation popped up or the thought popped up in my head, hypothetically, what if somebody starts shooting right now? Or I'm at work, what if somebody starts shooting right now? I'm not thinking it's going to even be a black person or a Mexican person. I'm thinking it's going to be a white person and not a white woman. So That's who I'm profiling. And look, this is the bigger picture. This is why it is not racist. This is just facts. Let me show you. White people also should profile white people. Yeah, I said it. Thawahgabar, Black Authentic Truth, Officer 5000 ISUPK. I'm telling white people, you should profile your own people when you're in a public setting. Yeah, because I am. And there's nothing wrong with it because the history and the statistics say that's what you should do, right? Now that's Black Authentic Truth for you. Now, let me get now this is what somebody said. Now when the mother said Hawassi, I wanted to know what is Hawassi because these brothers was found where they were found in the mountains in this place. And I said, well, you should look at that place. Whoever was like, what is that place like where somebody was comfortable leaving their bodies? Because I'm looking at it from a standpoint that this is not a suicide. So I looked up Hawassi, right? And let me just say, here's I got this screenshot. Now this brother is on, he was on X, on Twitter. And he said this. He said, Hawassi, Georgia is a former sundown town. Most cities located in the Upper West region of Georgia still practice racial exclusion. You know I'm going to research it. You know I'm going to look into it. He said, other areas in Northwest Georgia, such as Blairsville and Blue Ridge, are dangerous for Black people to travel to, especially at night. When I first moved to Atlanta, I was dropping off a white man in Blairsville, Georgia. I was driving a Lyft, and he made me cancel the ride and found another way home. He told me that at nighttime, they hunt Black people at gas stations, etc. The map below displays dangerous areas. Now, this is a brother's, what happened with him when he moved to Atlanta, Georgia. He riding Lyft. The guy counsels the Lyft, says he's going to find another way, told him they hunt Black people in these places. And you think that you live in a post-racial society where these things ain't still going on. You don't. You don't. You don't live in a post-racial society. You understand? Now, let me just show this screen. Let me screen share real quick. I went and looked at Hawassi, Georgia. I wanted to find out a little history about the place. You'll be surprised what I found out, or maybe you won't. All right, where we at? Let me go back. I might just screen share the whole page.
Ain't no tent, bro.
1 second, y'all. Let's see. Now, we're just going to make it all the way on. Now, this is from the website New Georgia Encyclopedia. And this part is sundown towns. Okay. Now it says, let me get down here. It's giving you all the sundown towns, right? It says Towns County saw a sharp drop in Black residents between 1900 and 1910 and had 0 African Americans within its borders from 1920 to 1940. Oral evidence suggests the county seat of Hiwassee had a reputation for violence against African Americans, particularly after nightfall. Black residents did not account for even 1% of the county's residents until the 2020 census, which counted 158 Black residents out of a total population of 12,493. These brothers' bodies were found in a place that was historically a sundown town. Historically, violence was committed against Black people in this place, especially at nighttime. So once again, I go back and say, you need to teach your children what time it is, that we don't live in a post-racial society. We don't live in a place where these things are unimaginable and that they just don't happen anymore, because they do. And don't let them, throw that trick bag in and say, well, what about Black people? Black people, they shoot each other in Chicago, gun violence. That doesn't mean anything when it comes to the level of violence and terrorism that has been perpetrated against your people. Now, when one people is hurting one another, that's very much normal. But in America, they make us feel as though it's abnormal. It's abnormal. Like, it's not normal for people to do these things to one another. It's very normal, considering the circumstances of, the history of Black people. Let's just go back to the early 1900s out of slavery. You would never hear about no Black on Black crime. But of course, there were Black people doing things to Black people, committing crimes and hurting and unaliving one another. And you fast forward in the civil rights movement, when Black people fighting for freedom and integration, it was happening then too. It wasn't until the 80s where they started really putting that in the media, like Black people, gun violence with Black people. You never heard them talk about the white gun violence in the early 1900s with the mafia, with Al Capone and all them. Like, that's a problem. It never was a problem with Jesse James and all of these people in the West. Like, the gun violence they was committing against one another never was a big issue. Never was like propagandized and put in people's heads like this is a big boogeyman. But when it comes to Black people, they use that all the time as a scapegoat. Nowadays, you even hear Black people do it. Yeah, I know they did that to us, but what about Black on Black gun violence? You even hear Black people say it now. The thing is that when a race does something to itself, whether it be an Asian race, whether it be an Arab race, whether it be the white race, that's normal. You know what I'm saying? But when another race is doing something to another race, that is an act of war. That is an act of violence and aggression that is equal to warfare, equal to war. You know what I mean? And so don't let them gas you. Don't let them try to, take the light off of the evil and the hatred that is being perpetrated even to this day in 2025. Now we got to sit back and listen and see what they're going to come up with. They've already said murder, suicide. Like, they done threw out any other possibility already. And anybody knows, like, right away like that lets you know that they know that it wasn't what they're trying to say it was. And they just right off the bat, murder suicide with these two twin brothers, which I don't believe. I'm not buying it. And maybe I should get at Richard Taylor, Taylor House Publishing, and we'll discuss that and talk about that. Like, they always throw that out there like that. They did that with Javion McGee when there's facts and circumstances showing that it couldn't have been like that. You know what I mean? But they want to cover themselves. And they don't never want you to believe in 2025, in this modern time, that the same things that was happening to your ancestors in the 60s, 40s, 20s and the early 1900s is still happening today. You know what I mean? So yes, may that brother rise again, man. Let me see. I done had a few of y'all rocking with me for an extended amount of time. I appreciate that. All right. I appreciate that. Appreciate y'all rocking with me. And I definitely will be creating some, more refined content, more specific content. The first video I'll be putting out will be about indentured servitude. Indentured servants was, a lot of times when we talk about Black people being enslaved and the atrocities of the transatlantic slave trade, there's been this new thing where white people say, well, Irish were slaves too. I will be investigating that. I will be going into that, and I will be proving that what was going on with the Irish was not the same or could not be comparable to what happened to Black people in the transatlantic slave trade. All right. So with that, man, I thank all of y'all for rocking with me, man. This is Thawahgabar for Black Authentic Truth. Appreciate all the support. I definitely start to amp it up and go live a little more. I know brothers and sisters will be looking for that, in the busyness of life and the busyness of things you got to get done, and things that are more important than content creation. Sometimes I got to put Black Authentic Truth on the back burner, but I'll definitely be working behind the scenes and trying to bring elevated and more what's the word? Just better content, just better, more precise, more professional content. So I thank y'all for rocking with me. I hope that y'all enjoy the rest of your evening. This Sunday evening, I know it's, everybody getting prepared for the week, going to school, going to work, whatever it may be. Y'all enjoy y'all evening, get refreshed, get rejuvenated, and I'll see y'all. Okay. With that, this is Black Authentic Truth. Peace, y'all.